All right, everyone, chalk up another instance of the sort of legacy media, jumps down Trump's throat and turns out to be assholes. South Korea has actually, apparently, according to Yonhap, their news agency, it's agreeing now to suspend these joint drills with the U.S. Now, we have to differentiate between the routine day-to-day drills that North Korea, that they do the same thing, nobody cares, and the large-scale war games that we hold with South Korea on a yearly basis, that every time we do that, North Korea fires off a missile or makes some vague comment about nuclear weapons or threatens to like bomb Japan or something. They've been doing this for a number of years. The thing is, if you hold those drills while you're trying to denuclearize North Korea, knowing that there are no other countries around you'd be conducting such drills towards, it is a provocation. This is one thing on which the North Koreans are right. Now, I support the right of the US and South Korea to hold such exercises, but it does perturb them. It does cause a reaction, in all honesty. It's not like a plan for invasion, it's defensive. But you can see how they're not going to construe it that way. You know, if South Korea and the US are firing off artillery and driving boats around and doing fake bombing runs right next to the DMZ, what do you think North Korea ultimately is going to do? It's Asian politics. It's a provocation. It has to be answered with antagonism. That's basically the way it is. The thing is this, if North Korea has taken no further diplomatic steps and no further steps towards denuclearizing at the date that the war games would otherwise go on, they'll be put back on. Yeah, and once again, we'll go back to square one. I guess we'll have to have another summit if that happens. Trump is hoping that doesn't occur, and hoping, I think, that within the next couple of months, North Korea will at least have declared its stockpile and admitted inspectors. If that happens, the drills won't happen. Now, North Korea is also saying, well, that's great. South Korea is saying, please move your artillery further from the DMZ. It makes us nervous to have so many guns basically pointed at Seoul. And North Korea is like, well, can you take some of the troops away from the border? Yeah, that should continue. And by the way, all these people saying, well, Trump went to the summit. He didn't get any concessions. The statement of denuclearization is sort of the golden goose that you're looking for. It's sort of, that's the main prize that you want. But getting power remains and an end to the propaganda broadcasts across the DMZ, that's pretty nice too. You gotta understand, when he went into the summit, he had already gotten U.S. prisoners released. He gets the photo op with Kim. He got concessions, and then the North Koreans bombed their test site and destroy it. It's no longer usable. They don't even have a place to test weapons. I mean, what are they going to do? Test it above ground? In such a small country? You know how frighteningly stupid that would be? Yeah, at that point, an invasion would happen because it'd be clear Kim Jong-un really was a psychopath. He's not, though. He's sane enough not to attempt an above-ground test or a test out at sea. China would invade him if he did that. They'd be like, hey, no, not on our doorstep. We don't want to deal with the fallout. What an idiot. It's not going to happen. They don't have anywhere to test weapons. They've got whatever stockpile they have right now. You know what would be really funny? They admit the inspectors and like, surprise, we don't have any nuclear weapons. The only ones we did have were the ones that we blew up in the mountain there. Ha ha ha. Basically we trolled you for 10 years. It would be really, really funny. And it would be like a worldwide joke. It'd be like the joke of all human history. It would be written about in history books. No, I think that their stockpile will probably turn out, though, to be underwhelming. I think when they say, well, they might have 80 hydrogen bombs, bullshit. Bullshit. I want to see that room full of H-bombs. It would be quite impressive, I'm sure. I have a feeling what you're going to find is a few hydrogen weapons and mostly a bunch of more primitive atomic bombs. Half of them probably wouldn't have even detonated. Like, remember, several of their tests have failed. Their first test failed. An explosive went off. Obviously, it did not attain criticality, and there was no atomic explosion. I think they had to dig a new tunnel, probably because the initial one would have been so heavily irradiated at that point, so filled with alpha particles, it'd be like, no, even the most enslaved rock quarry miner that's been in the gulag for 10 years and is being promised double rations and early release if he'll just go in and remove the material. No, I'd rather just work in the salt mine. Just put me back in there to work myself to death. I don't want to die looking like a ghoul. South Korea, though, has agreed, apparently, to the U.S. proposal to end the joint drills, assuming that North Korea ponies up on its side of the deal. Some people are acting as though this is just a concession without any guarantee of anything in return. Well, technically, you're right. But the thing is, if you don't get something in return by a certain date, if you don't get a couple steps towards denuclearization, at least a declaration of the stockpile and maybe some artillery movement away from the DMZ or something to draw down the conflict, things will go right back to the way they were. They'll go back to the same war footing. And Kim Jong-un has probably been warned by Pompeo by now. We will invade if this doesn't go off more or less without a hitch. Why do you think things have been so respectful? It's totally abnormal for North Korea-U.S. relations. Everything that's going on there, look, when North Korea was like making random threats, like they'd fire off missiles and they would threaten to nuke Seoul or DC or something, and they post like propaganda pictures of people with nuclear backpacks, supposedly, which is ridiculous. But when they do these things for years and years, it was normal. That was the status quo. The status quo was, we will nuke you. This is abnormal. The fact that there's no threats, the fact that Trump can shake his hand, the fact that the general is saluting the president, the concept of a North Korean general saluting the U.S. president is what was unprecedented, not the fact that Trump would salute back. The fact that he got saluted by a high-ranking military officer in a supposedly hostile nation, that was fantastic. It was actually a really good thing. It was a good show of respect. Kim Jong-un's general showed him respect. He showed respect back. That's abnormal. I'm very hopeful. I'm hopeful. What people should be hoping for is peace. They should be hoping that Moon and Kim go to the DMZ and they say, hey, yeah, we're removing the troops. The war's over. Fucking here's the peace treaty. It's basically, we're not going to antagonize each other anymore. Let's cooperate. No invasion. Eventually we reunify or some crazy shit. Let's go smoke a bowl, because in North Korea, of course, marijuana is totally legal. Some people are like, oh, it's a stoner's paradise. No, because if you're using any other substance, they'll fucking chop your feet off, probably, and then stab you in the head with a bayonet repeatedly. But yeah, you can smoke weed. I'm not sure how good the weed is. Probably just grows wild in the countryside as a literal weed in North Korea. And they see, apparently, a few tourists have gone there, take pictures, and they're like, yeah, you can get like this 5-pound bag of bud for like the equivalent of like, 20 US bucks or something. They just smoke it all day. What else are you going to do? People love it. And Kim Jong-un doesn't care because it's like, well, it grows here anyway. I guess it's probably part of their mythology. Like, basically, well, weed started to grow around the tomb of Kim Il-sung, and so the peasants took it, smoked it, and it was great shit. And the Americans are stupid, so they keep it illegal, so we smoke it. I'm hoping for peace. It's like, I see these people, they make comments, they're like, remember when Bill Maher, like a week ago, he's like, oh, I'm praying for a recession so we can get rid of Trump, which it's true, you'll need one. They're also praying, I guess, for war to break out in Korea again. They're praying for dead civilians. They've dehumanized the North. It's like what they're doing with Russians. They're like, oh yeah, Ivan over there, the Russian espionage agent. They dehumanize. It's a form of propaganda. They try to dehumanize the North Koreans. Now, the liberals have never done that before. They're doing it now because Trump's the one solving the problem. They know if in the next few months, there's a significant step towards denuclearization, weapons inspectors go, the Kim Jong-un comes to DC, Trump goes to Pyongyang, either one or both. He's fucking, the Republicans will kick ass during the midterms. They're terrified. Why do you think they were so pissed that the summit went off well? To the point where they had to really, really scrape the bottom of a really shitty barrel full of rotten apples in order to try to attack him on the summit. Oh, well, he didn't denuclearize right away and he didn't ramble. He didn't choose to insult the main general of North Korea. He didn't choose to insult Kim by bringing up human rights abuses. He didn't choose to insult people he was meeting with, trying to get them to give up billions of dollars worth of weapons-grade material. What a terrible, terrible negotiator. Yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit. That's about all. Peace out.